Well, hello everybody and welcome to Vinyl Treasures. I'm your host, Johnny G, John Galindo, coming to you live each and every Saturday, only here on Top Shelf Oldies. Want to welcome you to the first show of 2020, January 4th, 2020. Welcome to the 50s and early 60s edition. Hope everybody had a great new year, great holiday. Johnny G gained a little weight. Barbara and I got to go work out. Yes, we do, but I'm here for the next couple of hours, maybe longer, to spin original vinyl 45s out of my collection. Got a bunch of flip sides from 2 weeks ago. Lots of requests and some rarities out of my collection. We opened up from September 1959 with Philadelphia organist band leader Doc Bagby on the Red Top record label out of Philadelphia. The second of four he had on the Red Top label, a song entitled Joyride Number 2. Pretty cool tune there. He really did some great instrumentals throughout the 1950s and early 60s. But anyway, let's start it off here with the vocal portion. We open up the vocal portion in the same year, 1959, with a flip side from the last 50s show. And as I mentioned, I have a number of them tonight. And 2 weeks ago, actually, it was 2 weeks ago, I had my all 60s show last week, but I played a request for Richard Fox. He wanted to hear the Dukes out of Los Angeles. The side I featured was called Looking for You. Let's flip it over before I file it back down in the no humidity basement. This one from February 59. Give a listen to the Dukes on flip. It's called Groceries, Sir.
Walking down the street just the other day, stopped at the grocery store just across the way. I said, kind sir, won't you give me some of these?
Some of what, son?
Neck bones, please. Neck bones, 29 cents a pound. Neck bones, 29 cents a pound. Neck bones, 29 cents a pound. And I'm sure gonna get some more. He started moving down the counter toward the end. I saw him point at something, I began to grin. I said, kind sir, won't you give me some of these?
Some of what, boy?
Short ribs, please. Short ribs, do I like them? Short ribs, do I like them? Short ribs, do I like them? And I'm sure gonna get some more. Do I like them? Do I like them? Do I like them? And I'm sure gonna get some more. On my way home, I saw the vegetable man parked on the corner at his regular stand. I said, kind sir, won't you give me please?
I said, these what, boy?
Turnip greens. Turnip greens, 10 cents a bunch, boy. Turnip greens, 10 cents a bunch, boy. Turnip greens, 10 cents a bunch, boy. And I'm sure gonna get some more. I walked on home and I went through the door. I saw Pop standing in the middle of the floor. I said, look, Pop, what I got from the store.
He said, well, what you got, boy?
Grocery, sir. Neck bones, 29 cents a pound. Short ribs, do I like them? Turnip greens, 10 cents a pound, boy. And I'm sure gonna get some more. Do I like them? Yeah. Do I like them? Oh. Do I like them? And I'm sure gonna get some more. Do I like them?
I like neck bone.
I like them.
Elephant toe.
I like them.
Harmony.
Do I like them?
Grits.
Do I like them?
Rice.
Those are the Dukes. The Dukes, it kind of sounds like a Bobby Day flavor to that record there. It's a cool up-tempo tune there from February 1959. The Dukes on the Flip label. Groceries, Sir is the name of that one. It's the first of two they recorded on the Flip label. As we continue here on the 50s and early 60s edition of the Vinyl Treasure Show, I have a bunch of requests I received on the email for the last couple of weeks here, so we're going to get to them now. We're going to have them sprinkled throughout the show, and I'm playing B-sides like that one. Richard requested the flip side of that, so we're going to be playing some B-sides tonight. And listener Nat Papagallo from Naples, Florida, requested this one. This group from the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area, they had two releases on Sid Nathan's King label, and Nat requested their second. It features Joe Reed on lead. Let's go way back to October 1953. October 53 here for the Magic Tones. It's not an easy 45 to find. You may have it on 78, but it's hard on a 45. It's on the King label. It's the Magic Tones. It's called How Can You Treat Me This Way?
Way down deep inside are tears I cannot hide. I want you more and more each day. I miss that old thrill. I know I always will. How can you treat me this way? I'm blue and all alone, can't melt your heart of stone. I love you more than words can say, for I just can't conceal the heartaches that I feel. How can you treat me this way? You play the game of pretending from the very first time we met. While I was thrilling to your kisses, you were planning goodbye with no regrets. So way down deep inside are tears I cannot hide. I want you more and more each day. I miss that old thrill. I know I always will. How can you treat me this way?
Yeah, that's a great tune there. I like that record there by the Magic Tones. That's a request for Nat. October 1953, it's on the King label. How Can You Treat Me This Way? As we count down the music chronologically here on the Vinyltreasure Show. I was lucky to get that one. I won that on an eBay auction for $153. Great price for that 45. That's a great tune. I was lucky to get that as we continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show. Now, 2 weeks ago, I also featured a group called the Peppers out of Detroit on Leonard Chess's Chess label with a song called Rockin' Chair Baby, kind of a bluesy sound. I also like the flip side of that 45, and it mentions on the label it includes guitarist Dave Hamilton, who would later have would be a prolific music director and session guitarist. Let's go back to August 1954. These are the Peppers on Chess with their tune called Hold On.
For a ride, my motor was really hot. She heard me screaming mercy, begging her to stop. But she said, hold on, baby, 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 and I'll hold on the best that I can. Down, there's danger ahead. She put both hands on the wheel, squeezed it, and then she said, baby, hold on. She said, hold on, baby, squeeze me, baby, hold tight, baby, hold me, baby, roll on, baby, and I'll hold on the best that I can.
That's from On the Chess label. If you collect the Chess label, a lot of good stuff on the Chess label. You only get your group harmony, you get blues and R&B and rockabilly and pop. A lot of good stuff on the Chess label. But those are the Peppers, August 1954. Hold On is the name of that one. Came out on Leonard Chess's Chess label. I bought that right out of Louis Silvani's Times Square record store in Dobbs Ferry, New York, when he was in Dobbs Ferry. That's close to where I live. I'd go there every Saturday morning, and I'd bring my Kreider book, and I'd read off the numbers in the Kreider book that I was missing, because my goal was to collect every record in that Kreider book. I have a large percentage of them. I really do, I have to say. Missing some of the more expensive ones that a lot of the people are missing, but that was a lot of fun for me to do it on Saturdays. Anyway, Johnny G babbling on here. Let's continue here. We are in the year 1954, and on that same show I featured the Peppers. I featured a group called the Roamers. Came out on Herman Lubinsky's Savoy label out of Newark, New Jersey. I played the song called Deep Freeze. Not a deep freeze today. It was in the 50s today, but kind of foggy and rainy, unfortunate. But the Roamers were out of Jersey City, New Jersey. So let's flip that 45 over, as this one was written by the team, Charles Singleton and Rosemarie McCoy. They wrote a lot of cool R&B tunes for many groups in the 1950s, but this side features James Ricketts on lead. We go to December 1954. These are the Roamers on Savoy. It's called I'll Never Get Over You.
I'll never get over you.
I'll never get over you, baby. I'll never get over you. We've drifted far, far apart. I'll still love you deep down in my heart, and I'll never, no, I'll never get over you. Well, it's no use trying to forget you when I know I never will. I can start out trying to forget you, but I'll wind up loving you still. No, I'll never love no one but you, baby. I'll never love no one but you. I found somebody new. She don't take the place of you, and I'll never, no, I'll never get over you. I'll never get over you.
Yeah, those are the Roamers from December 1954 on the Savoy record label. Out of Newark, New Jersey, James Ricketts on lead. It's called I'll Never Get Over You. Now, Johnny G will never get over the Bengals picking first in the draft this coming year. We'll see who they take. I think they're going to take an LSU quarterback. Johnny G babbling on here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue here now. On the tribute show I did for my Aunt Mary, I featured the Great Nutmegs, who were from New Haven, Connecticut, with their biggest record called Story Untold. It was a 45 that she purchased in the spring of 1955. But the one thing that my aunt taught me about record collecting, or about records in general, is that you always play the flip sides. I told Dave the Rave, another DJ here on Top Shelf Oldies, our Saturday night DJ, that you got to flip over your 45s. You got to listen to the flip side. You might get a throwaway record, which is the case a lot of times, but in the 50s, they really put a lot of effort in a lot of their songs, and they're singing all the instruments and the singers and everything else. So you always get a cool record, a song on the flip side, as she did with this 45, this tune written by Leroy Griffin, who was the main lead of the Nutmegs. But this side features James Coco Tyson. I got to thank my teacher, George Tompkins, for that. He told me that. I always thought Leroy Griffin was on lead, but he sounds like it. It's not. It's James Coco Tyson on lead. This is on Al Silver's Herald label, April 1955. The flip side of a big hit for the Nutmeg, Story Untold. It's called You Make Me Lose My Mind.
Hi-ho, baby, don't you know I love you, never let you go, my little baby. Oh, baby, oh, baby, you're gonna make me lose my mind. Baby, baby, what you gonna do? You're gonna make me lose my mind. Baby, what you gonna do? Make me lose my mind. But you know I'll have to let you go, because you never walk the straight line. Hi-ho, baby, don't you know I love you, never let you go, baby, my little baby. Oh, baby, you're gonna make me lose my mind.
Running all around, upside down, acting like a fool, but I know the golden rule, telling everybody that I'm just a clown, but it must be good because you still hang around. Ooh, baby, baby, what you gonna do, my baby, 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 what you gonna do, pretty baby, 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 what you gonna do, ooh, baby, you're gonna make me lose my mind. Walk the straight line. Hi-ho, baby, don't you know I love you, never let you go, my little baby. Oh, baby, oh, baby, you're gonna make me lose my mind.
B-sides here on the Vinyltreasure Show. Those are the Nutmegs, April 1955. On Al Silver's Herald label, that is the B-side to Story Untold. It's called You Make Me Lose My Mind. Features James Coco Tyson on lead for that one. As we continue here on the 50s and early 60s edition of the Vinyltreasure Show, I featured a few Christmas tunes on the last 50s show, and one Christmas song I played, it was called Christmas Prayer, as done by Richard Barrett and the Valentines. Let's give a listen to the flip side of that 45. It's their third release on George Golner's Rama label from November 55. The Great Valentines on the Blue Rama label with their tune called Kiss Me.
I wanna love you, honey, can't you see? I wanna love you, baby, love you long. Wanna love you, honey, love you strong. Oh, 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 kiss me. Oh, pretty mama, wanna love you strong. Come, little girl, take a walk with me. I wanna love you, honey, can't you see? Oh, 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 kiss me. Well, K-I-S-S-M-E, kiss me, baby. Oh, 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 K-I-S-S-M-E, kiss me. Oh, oh, well, when you kiss me, baby, you set my soul on fire. Oh, 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 oh,
November 1955 release there for Richard Barrett and the Valentines on George Goldner's Rama label. Their third release on the Rama label, it's called, as Fred wants me to say it, K-I-S-S space me baby. It doesn't say baby, but it's K-I-S-S me is the name of that, a.k.a. Kiss Me is the name of that one. Now, a very interesting thing about this 45 and other 45s on George Goldner's Rama label, and probably other labels too, like G. And the fact is that the writers that get credit on this song are the lead singer, Richard Barrett, who probably really wrote the tune, and the tenor for the group, Raymond Pop Briggs. He was also a writer, but there's someone else that's mentioned in the writer credit here, and his name is Tommy Vastola. So you got to look up on the internet who Tommy Vastola is and check it out, because he was really a New Jersey mobster. You can check it out on Google. He did jail time, and I think he did a lot of bad. He's still alive. He was born in 1929. And some interesting stuff about that. Of course, George Goldner was a big gambler, and that's really how he lost all his labels. And the crime group got in charge of his record labels. Unfortunately, I think the last label he had left was Gone Records, and then he eventually lost that, and then he went out to have some other labels that he created, like Gold Disc, and he was in Redbird and a bunch of things. But interesting stuff here on the Vinyl Treasure Show as we continue here, and featured a rare 45 a couple of weeks ago on Don Pierce's Hollywood label, and it was by Jesse Belvin. It was called Dear Heart. That's a pretty rare 45 if you have it on original, and there was an uncredited vocal group backing them up. They were known as the Feathers, and young listener Evan Blatt, who is currently in our chat room, the YouTube chat room, he asked if I could flip the 45 over, and I did mention to Evan that I would flip it over because both sides of the record are good in my opinion, so let's do it. Going out to Evan. This side also written by Johnny Otis. It's from April 1956. We move into 56. This is Jesse Belvin and the Feathers. They get no mention on the label, Hollywood Records. It's called Betty, My Darling.
Betty, my darling, can't you see what your devotion means to me? Yes, I'm your slave for the rest of my days. Betty, my darling, the sun and the stars know of my joy when you're in my arms. Yes, I'm your slave for the rest of my days. Girls may come and other girls may go, but you're always in my heart. Someday I pray I'll hear you say, darling, we'll never part. Betty, my darling, you're fond of praise, and the wonder of your lovely face makes me your slave for the rest of my days. I'm your slave for the rest of my days.
As Jesse Belvin and the uncredited group, they're called the Feathers, the same group that recorded on Showtime. The Feathers backing up Jesse Belvin, April 1956, with a Johnny Otis tune. It's called Betty, My Darling. That one there on the Hollywood label. As we continue here, we are in the year 1956. Let's stay with the flip sides. We go back to George Gollner's Rama label, this time the red label for this one. The group is called The Rainbows. They were out of Washington, D.C. I featured the intended B-side of their 45, was a great ballad, a song entitled They Say. That featured Ronald Miles on lead. We're going to flip it over. This is the intended A-side, which is a cool up-tempo. It's a cool up-tempo, but I like the ballad better, but it's okay to play this side. The lead singer here is John Barry. He also wrote the tune. Jimmy Wright in the orchestra. They may play Jimmy Wright playing a mean sax on this one. September 1956, The Rainbows on Rama. It's called Minnie.
Well, I'm looking for my minute, but your minute's nowhere in sight. Yes, I'm looking for a minute, but your minute's nowhere in sight. Whoa, 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 that doggone minute walked out on me last night. Yes, I told my little minute she'd have to stop the way she do. Yes, I told my little minute she'd have to stop the way she do. Whoa, 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 my blue little pigeon has flipped her wings and flew. Well, I told her to come home early last night, pull off the shoes and try to start a fight. Say now, minute, baby, take it slow. Somebody tell me where did my baby go? I'm looking for a minute, but the minute's nowhere in sight. Whoa, 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 that doggone minute walked out on me last night. Yes. Well, now, little minute, don't you do for me like that. Yes, now, little minute, don't you do for me like that. Whoa, 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 I do believe you met some real love cat. Yes, but you better be back. You better be back. Oh, you better be back. Yes, you better be back. Oh, you better be back. Woo, you better be back. Well, don't you wanna come back? Don't you wanna come back? Woo, wanna come back? Yeah, don't you wanna come back? Don't you wanna come back?
That's classic Jimmy Wright and the orchestra there, backing up the Rainbows. The Rainbows from September 1956 with the John Barry on lead. That song called Minnie. Those of you that have the bootleg of that, it should be on the Blue Rama label. That's how you can easily tell. Actually, I don't like those bootlegs. They don't play well. They never did. Used to buy them for $1. Not the Ratio boots. Those are better because he recorded those off of 78s, believe it or not. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We are in the year 1956. This is a request for Nat Papagallo listening in Naples, Florida. He's in the YouTube chat room. Another group out of Baltimore, Maryland. They first recorded as the Valtones on the deluxe label, if you know the tune Tender Darling, but then they changed their name to the Baltineers. They have two releases on the Teenage label. I have, the first one is Moments Like This. I have it on a 45. Braden, I have that on the yellow label 78, a nice stone mint copy. But this is their second release. Nat requested their second release, which is so much harder to find than Moments Like This. It's written by the lead singer. His name is Percy Crosby. He's the lead singer on this. By request for Nat, October 1956, the Baltineers on Teenage. It's called Tears in My Eyes.
Here where you left me, here where you left me, I'm here where you left me, with tears in my I've tried so hard, my dear, to be by your side. So please come back, dear, and stay by my side. I'm here where you left me.
life ain't worth a dime.
Life ain't worth a dime. So please come back, dear, and stay by my side.
Stay by my side.
I'm here when you left me, with tears in my eyes.
Yes, when you walked out and left me with tears.
Tears in my
Yeah, thanks for requesting that one, Nat. That's a cool tune there by the Baltineers. The Baltineers, October 1956. That's their second release on the Teenage label. Percy Crosby, he's the lead singer. Tears in My Eyes is the name of that one. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on the cool tunes, enjoying the sounds here as we continue. And let's continue with the request, this time for listener Richard Fox. He's in our YouTube chat room as we head to Los Angeles, California for the debut single by the Titans on Larry Mead's Vita record label. It features Charles Wright on lead. We go to January 1957 on Vita Records. These are the Titans by request for Richard. It's called So Hard to Laugh, So Easy to Cry.
Yes, it's over. No more balcony seat, no more dancing where the gang always meet. It's so hard to laugh, so easy to cry, now that we've said goodbye. Yes, it's over. No more curfew to break, no more memory. We must hurry and make. It's so hard to laugh, so easy to cry, now that we said goodbye. Dreams won't die, though you go away. I'll be loving you wherever you are. Baby, I ought to make it stay, but it's mighty hard to cling to a falling star. My fallen days are over and beyond all recall. Just a lot of no more nothing at all. It's so hard to laugh, so easy to cry, now that we said goodbye. Dreams won't die, though you go away. I'll be loving you wherever you are. Baby, I ought to make it stay, but it's mighty hard to cling to a falling star. My smiling days are over and beyond all recall. Just a lot of no more nothing at all. It's so hard to laugh, so easy to cry, now that we said goodbye. Now that we have said goodbye.
That's a Great tune. Thanks for requesting that one, Richard. Those are the Titans. The Titans on the Vita record label, Larry Mead's Vita Records, out of Pasadena, California, that label. January 1957, the Titans with So Hard to Laugh, So Easy to Cry. Now, this group was named, believe it or not, after a missile developed by the U.S. Air Force called the Titan missile. They decided to call themselves the Titans. Johnny G here, spinning 1950s and early 60s 45s out of my collection. We do it chronologically here, featuring a lot of requests tonight. And I'm going to send this next song out to young 78 collector Braden McCallow. Did I say that right, Braden McCallow? And he's out. He lives in Minnesota, and he's got a great 78 collection. He does, and I'm going to try to show some of my 78s to Braden because I know he likes those 78s. I just could relate because I get excited looking at 78s and 45s, and he's 15 years old, and he really knows the music. It's amazing that these youngsters know so much about the music. But Braden asked if I can play the Thrashers on the Mason label, and I told him that I also have another release. I posted actually the other release, the Genie by the Thrashers. I will be coming up shortly, but I told him I had another release on the Masons label, which was owned by the Reverend Alfred Crite Mason Jr. Now, these 45s have poor quality, sound quality, because they were recorded in his basement. So I was reading up on this, on the group here, that this song by the Lovelarks that I'm featuring, Marv Goldberg dates this one somewhere around 1958. I think it's more like 57, but it doesn't really make a difference. It's from the same era, I say, but I think it's earlier than the Thrashers. And both sides of this record are good. I'm going to feature the ballad side. So this is side 2. I'm going to send it out especially to Braden in the YouTube chat. 1957, the Lovelarks. This is on Mason Records with poor sound quality. It's called More and More.
Do
terrible sound quality, but a killer record. I love that tune there. 1957, the Lovelarks there on the Masons label. More and More is the name of that. We'll send it out to young Braden, 78 collector. I'm sure, I know he wishes he had that on a 78. I bought that record, believe it or not, in one of my visits to Allentown, Pennsylvania. There was a guy from Florida that came up with some cool records. It's not in the greatest shape. Actually, I have 2 copies of that record, believe it or not. And if you want to get it cheaper, I think it came out on the Fellatio label. I think that's the label that it came out on. You can check it out. I wonder if that was Val Shively's label. I think it might have been his label. Johnny G babbling on here for a Saturday evening as we continue here. And here's a request for Nat. Got another request for Nat Papagallo. This group is out of New Jersey, and the song sounds like it was inspired by the 1954 tune by Johnny Ace. But I'm featuring it on its first label. It's on the Chock Full of Hits label. It would then be picked up by MGM Records, and it features George Kerr on lead. So we're going to send this one out to Nat Papagallo, December 1957. They're called the Serenaders. This one is the first press on Chock Full of Hits. It's called Never Let Me Go.
Just let me love you tonight. Forget about tomorrow. Remember, darling, I love you. Never
That's another cool tune there. Thanks for requesting that one, Nat. The Serenaders. Serenaders with George Kerr on lead, December 1957 release on the Chock Full of Hits label. It's called Never Let Me Go. That is a cool tune. It also came out on MGM Records. Yes, it did. As we continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show. Now, here's the request for Braden McCallow. And I mentioned a couple of records ago as this 45 is a bit better sounding. It's a little better than the Lovelarks sound, but it was written by the lead singer. His name is Bernard Felton, and they're called the Thrashers. This one from 1958 going out to Braden, the Thrashers on Masons, and their tune called Genie.
Bunny, 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 oh, baby, bunny, 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 bunny,
As by request for Braden, 1958. Those are the Thrashers. The Thrashers on the Masons label. Bernard Felton on lead, their tune called Genie. You notice that a lot of the releases of this on the original, they have the Stampers sample. I thought it said Sampy. No, it's Sampai. It's sample. That's what it's supposed to be. Sample. And not an easy 45 to find, by the way, but you can find the 1961 press that comes out on red vinyl. Maybe they were black vinyl also. Slim Rose, co-owner of Times Square Records, was instrumental in getting those 1961 copies pressed. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on these cool tunes as we continue. Here we go back to California with a request for George Tompkins. Now, George requested the Cufflinks with a K. The Cufflinks with a K as we go to Gene Autry's Challenge label. This is their second release on Challenge. It features John Jennings on lead. Let's go to June of 1958. Challenge Records. I have this on the vinyl promo. I love those Challenge vinyl promos. The Cufflinks with a K. It's called Climb Love's Mountain.
Climb Love Mountain, sing love song to your lover who's all alone in the valley, lonesome valley below. Climb Love's mountain, I'll hear your cry. I'll climb that mountain to be by your side. I love you. I need you for my bride. Climb Love's mountain. Leave your past behind. Climb Love's mountain. Happiness you will find for a lifetime. Climb Love's mountain. You must decide. Don't keep me waiting, uncertain inside. Though I love you, time might change my mind. Climb Love Mountain, leave your cares behind. Climb, 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 climb Love Mountain. Happiness you will find for a lifetime. Love.
By request for George Tompkins, June 1958, the Cufflinks with a K. It features John Jennings on lead. Climb Love's Mountain is the name of that one. Came out on the Challenge label. Now, the group's first release was a cover of The Casuals' So Tough, which was also recorded by the Cufflinks with a C on the Dutone record label. Johnny G here spinning original vinyl 45s. We continue here now. In the last 50 show, I played a request for Richard Fox by Johnny Firestone, who was from New Haven, Connecticut. The song was called It Happens Every Night. Came out on the Elmont label. Now, Johnny Firestone was the cousin of Fred Paris and an alias for Al Lobo, so he changed it to Johnny Firestone. But let's give a listen to the flip side, because I like the flip side of this record also. It's from November 58, Johnny Firestone on Elmont. It's called Is It Love?
love. Love, 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 love. Love, love, love. Is it love? Love.
November 1958 release there for Johnny Firestone, sounding like Fred Parris, but it's his cousin. His name is Al Lobo. That's John, a.k.a. Johnny Firestone, on the Elmont label. A song entitled Is It Love? Bopper Boy Warren likes that 45. As we continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show. Now, on the last 50 show, I opened up with this group from Harlem, New York, on Paul Winley's Cyclone label. They were called the Jesters. Now, with the intended B-side of their 45 on Cyclone, I Laughed was the intended B-side, believe it or not. And this was the A-side, which is pretty good, too. It features Lenny McKay on lead. This one from June of 1958. These are the Jesters on Cyclone. It's called Now That You're Gone.
Now that you're gone, I sit in my window and cry,
The memories I had of you. Your love was so untrue. I can't sleep at night, darling, now that you're gone. Oh, sweetheart, you make my life worth living. I had nothing to give. Carry your heart and don't get it more. My the lovely things we used to do. I'm all alone and feeling blue. I cried just for you, darling, now that you're gone.
Yeah, those are the great Jesters there. Brings back memories of the 1970s when I used to... There were a lot of oldie stations here in New York City. Norman Night, WCBS FM, the Gus Gossard Show, their whole stuff on WFUV, WARY. They were all cool stations that you could hear this type of music, but no more. You can't hear it anymore. You got to have Sirius XM or you got to have Johnny G. And that one there, a cool tune, The Jesters, June 1958. Lenny McKay on lead. Now That You're Gone is the name of that one. Came out on the Cyclone record label. Let's continue here. Got another request, this time for the Colonel. He wanted to hear this group supposedly out of Mount Vernon, New York. That's close to where your host Johnny G lives. I like both sides of this 45. We're going to feature the ballad here as we go to Atlantic Records. Let's give a listen to the Versatiles. The Versatiles from October 1958. Ben Sands, he's on lead. The Versatiles with Crying.
Oh, I crying, tears up in my eyes. I'm crying. You left me sad and blue. Now I'm crying over you.
As by request for the Colonel, they like that one there in the YouTube chat room, October 58. They're called the Versatiles. On the Atlantic record label, Ben Sands, he's the lead singer, a song entitled Crying, and they're going to play the flip side next Saturday. You want to tune into the Vinyltreasure Show, both sides, a great two-sider. I tell you, a lot of the records in the 1950s were great two-sided 45s, same case as the early 60s, too. As we continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show, another record out of 1958, back to the flip sides from 2 weeks ago. This one on Irv Spice's Mohawk label, the Green Mohawk label, when they were vinyl. And this group from Brooklyn, New York, they had 4 on the Mohawk label. I featured the A-side of their first. It was called Chapel of Tears, a nice ballad. The flip is an up-tempo. Now, the group is known as Lonnie and the Carolines, and Lonnie is really Irving Brodsky. He's the lead. He is Lonnie. This one from April 58. Lonnie and the Carolines. It's on the Mohawk label with a song entitled My Heart.
What's the matter, boy?
That chick out there just broke my heart.
Oh, she did, huh?
My heart is yearning for you. Oh, where can you be? Please come back to me. Oh, come back. You know I love you so. I'll never ever let you go. So come back to me. Darling, just me and you.
That's Lonnie and the Carolines. Lonnie and the Carolines from April 1958. It's on Herb Spice's Mohawk record label. It's a song called My Heart. And My Heart, go and send it out to my cousin Jay. Hey, Jay, how you doing? Happy New Year to you. Listening, Jay, is it where are you? In Tennessee? I don't know if you're in Tennessee. You're not in Tennessee anymore. I know you were going back and forth from another state. I can't remember the state, but gotta say hi to my cousin Jay. Yes, I do. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, up next, a request for George Tompkins, as this song sounds a lot like another tune, and I bet that it was inspired by a song done by the Capris on the Sabre label. If you're familiar with a tune called My Promise to You, I think it sounds like this record. It's the same year as we move into 59, but this group is out of Detroit, Michigan, so this is going out to George Tompkins, May 1959. They're called the Chancellors. It's on the Storm label. As we go to Styrene, this is I think this is my first Styrene press for the night. The Chancellors on Storm. It's called My Thoughts to You.
Starlight that shines above you, sweet as the roses that surround you, that, my dear, that's my thought to you. Summer, I know you'll be near. That, my dear, that's my thought to you. My thought to you. I think of you, darling, even though we are apart. Every minute, every hour, every day. I hope and I pray that you'll hear my thoughts, hear them when they say, bright as the moonlight that's up above you, sweet as the love that so folds you, that, my dear, that's my thought to you. That's my thoughts to you.
Not bad on the Styrene, but you know I hate Styrene 45s. The Chancellors there, May 1959, by request for George Tompkins. Great tune there. My Thoughts to You is on the Storm record label. As we continue here on Vinyl Treasures, let's continue with more requests. Here's one for Evan Blatt, currently in our YouTube chat room. This group from Youngstown, Ohio. It's on Tony March's Tammy label. Now, Evan requested the Monterey's, and this is the intended A-side of the 45. It's with Tony March and the orchestra, February 1959. The Monterey's on Tammy, going out to Evan. It's called 5 Minutes to Love You.
would like to do to hold you in my arms and feel your many charms. Give me 5 minutes to love you and just a moment
Evan, that's a fine request there for the Monterey's. The Monterey's February 1959 release on the Tammy record label. That is the intended A-side of the 45, 5 Minutes to Love You. What a great tune that is as we continue here. And we continue with the request. This one for Nat Papagallo on Hiram Johnson's Johnson label. Now, this group is called the Arcades, and the tune was written by the lead singer. His name is Theodore Marsh, and it features King Curtis on tenor sax here. This one charted number 4, was a number 4 record on WILM in Wilmington, Delaware. We go back to December 1959. December 59 for the Arcades on Johnson, and their tune's called My Love.
Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. My love. Oh, no, 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 no.
As going out to Nat Papagallo, those are the Arcades' December 59 release on the Johnson label. That's the same label that the Shells had Baby Oh Baby and other cool records on the Johnson label. That song entitled My Love. Now, for you collectors out there, this was first released in December of 1959. It was re-released in May of 62 on Johnson 119. The true first press of that for you collectors is Johnson 320. It has the single wavy line. That's how you tell as we continue here, spinning more 1950s 45s. Actually, I got one more to go in 59 before we move to 1960. And here's another flip side from 2 weeks ago. We go to the RV label. You know the RV label had all those novelty tunes by the Olympics that Brian really can't stand, but this is actually a cool record. I think this is the first release on the RV label. I played the intended A-side by this group called The Tramps. It was called I'm So Glad. Let's give a listen to the B-side from February 59, The Tramps on RV. It's called I Love You So.
I love you so.
Yes, I love you so.
Don't you know, don't you know?
Don't you know, don't you know?
When I hold your hand,
I hold your hand.
don't you know I love you so? Oh, little girl, when I hold your hand, well, I want you to understand that I'll always, yes, I'll always, no, I'll always, yes, I'll always love you so.
I love you so.
Don't you know, don't you know?
Don't you know, don't you know?
When I see you smile, don't you know I love you so? Whoa, little girl, when I see you smile, yeah, you make my life worthwhile, and I'll always, yes, I'll always, no, I'll always, yes, I'll always love you so. Woo,
Yes, I love you so.
yes, I love you so.
Yes, I love you so.
Whoa, girl, when I see you smile, you make my life worthwhile.
Yes, I love you so.
I love you so.
I love you so.
Don't you know, don't you know?
Don't you know, don't you know?
When I say goodnight,
Good night.
don't you know I love you so? Whoa, little girl, when I say goodnight, yeah, it's just till tomorrow night, then I'll always, yes, I'll always, no, I'll always, and I'll always love you so.
I love you so.
Yes, I love you so.
I love you so.
Yes, I love you so.
I love you so.
Yes, I love you so.
I love you so.
Yes, I love you so.
I love you so.
A gospel flavor on that 45. That's that track there. The Tramps, February 59 release on the RV record label. That's the B-side of the record. It's called I Love You So. Now, this was second press. You collectors out there, this was second pressed on the Eagle label as Bill Harris and the Continentals. Bill Harris probably doing lead on that, but that one there is the true first press on the RV label as we continue here. And on the last 50s edition, as we move into 1960 now, played a request for Richard Fox, this artist out of Philadelphia, PA. His name was Herb Johnson. It was on Buddy Caldwell's Len record label. That's correct. And the song was called Have You Heard? And that was the intended B-side of the 45. Now, the A-side was played a lot on WIBG and reportedly sold locally in Philadelphia 50,000 copies. But there is an uncredited group also backing him up on this side. They're called the Cruisers, and we're going to give a listen to Herb Johnson with a song he wrote. This one from January 1960. It's on Len Records. Herb Johnson. This is the A-side. It's called Guilty.
I am guilty. Everybody knows. My friends keep reminding me that they taught me so. Soon we will be parted. I'll be the guilty one. Dearest, my darling, I apologize. So sorry, my
Rich, that for sure. A great two-sided 45 there. January 1960, Buddy Caldwell's Len record label. That's Herb Johnson. Herb Johnson and a group. The group is called the Cruisers. And a cool tune, a song entitled Guilty. Now, the Cruisers have a great tune on the V-Tone label. Actually, they have two, but If I Knew is a great 45 they do, the Cruisers. Johnny G here in on the Vinyltreasure Show, spinning an early 1960s now. So we're going to stay in Philadelphia for a group called the Ravels, and you know their biggest hit, it was called Dead Man's Stroll. Then became Midnight Stroll, I think. But it came out on the Norgold record label, and that was their first on the label. But let's give a listen to their fourth on the label, which is their hardest. This is their hardest record to find on the Norgold label. And this tune, written by the lead singer of the group, his name is John Kelly. This one from 1960. Give a listen to the Ravels on Norgold. It's called Gates of Heaven.
Yours the first love I've known. Oh, this I hope to be true, and I'm within the gates of heaven whenever I'm with you. I'm at peace in your arms. Ecstasy is your kiss, and I'm within the gates of heaven when we're close like this. A good book promise the kingdom, and it has all come true. I believe in heaven, 'cause it gave me you. I will cherish your love. Make believe every day, and I'm within the gates of heaven. There I want to stay.
Yeah, those are the Ravels out of Philadelphia. That is their hardest 45 to find on the Norgold label. Even harder to find than the Dead Man's Stroll record on Norgold. 1960, the Ravels with their tune called Gates of Heaven. John Kelly on lead for that one. Johnny G here spinning 1960s. Now let's send this next song out to a bopper boy Warren, because I know, well, at least I like this song, and I think I got that from Warren's email, for this group that formed while attending LA's Fremont High School. Now, the true first press of this, Warren, came out on the Sabrina label, and it features Carl Coates on lead. This one from July of 1960. It's on Sabrina Records. I'm going to send it out to a bopper boy Warren in the YouTube chat. The Marathons and their tune called Don't Know Why.
Don't know why the willows cry. Don't know why the raindrops fall. I just know, darling, I love only you. I love only you. Don't know why the snowflakes fall. Don't care at all. Maybe someday you will return. It may be a day in June. Oh, and if that day should ever come, I know it won't be too soon. Oh, I don't know why the roses die, don't know why my heart must cry. I just know can't last much longer without you. No, 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 no.
Whoops. I'm trying to line this record up. I don't, because it's got a dangerous edge chip, which I gotta be careful with. I gotta, hold on a second, folks. I want to make sure that I think I got it right. Okay, sorry about that, folks. That one going out to Bopper Boy War in the Marathons, July 1960. Don't know why. The original press on the Sabrina record label. Carl Coates is on lead. I got a sticker on this. It says Mel Coates. I wonder if that is him or that's his brother or something. But anyway, this record actually was pushed by disc jockey Alan Freed. He was a DJ at the time at KDAY in July or August of 1960. There's actually an air check out there. You can check it out. An air check from 1960 with Alan Freed on KDAY. And the second presses of this came out on the JC label. They're second presses. They are not first presses. We continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. We still are in the year 1960, and on the last 50's edition, I played a request for Nat Papagallo by Little Jan and the Radiants. Her version of If You Love Me, and I played it on the first press, Vim Records, and listener Daryl Letts requested I play the flip side, which is another standard, a standard from 1938. Now this is Little Jan and the Radiants. Little Jan is really Jan Parola, and the group is from Syracuse, New York, and this was a big record in Syracuse. It was number 8 on WNDR in Syracuse, so this is going out to Daryl from June 1960 on the Vim label, Little Jan and the Radiants with their version of Heart and Soul.
I beg to be adored.
That's going out to Daryl Letts in the YouTube chat room, June 1960. And her name is Jan Parola. She's on lead. Little Jan and the Radiance there, Heart and Soul, their version of that on the Vim label. You can also get that on the, what was the second label, Charlene? I did not put the second label. She loses his mind. Anyways, we continue here. We are in the year 1960. Here's one for the Colonel. This group is from Providence, Rhode Island. Initially, they had 3 releases on the New York City-based Felsted label. Then in 1960, on this local label in Providence, the Planet label. This one features Joe Hill on lead. This is going out to the Colonel. October 1960, the Castaliers. Castaliers on Planet with their tune called That's Why I Cry.
I cry because I want you by my side at night, because I long to hold and squeeze you tight, because I try so hard to make love right. That's why I cry, because within my heart there lies a thrill, because the warmth of your kiss lingers still, because I love you, guess I always will. That's why I cry for you. Oh, too many nights I've been lonely, too many nights I've been blue, too many nights I cried myself to sleep, wondering if you love me too. I cry because the things you do just hurt me so. I cry because how much I care you'll never know. I cry because I'm so afraid you'll let me go. That's why I cry for you.
As by request for the Colonel, the Castaliers, October 1960, That's Why I Cry. Came out on the Planet label now. Features Joe Hill on lead. Now, you can also get this on the Donna label. Now, I don't have a true first press of this because the first presses of this are on a Vinyl Planet label. And I don't know, they pressed up others a month later or so that were around in quantity, abundance at one time. I don't know about it anymore, but that was a Stoneman copy on styrene. Johnny G here, spinning 1960s 45s. Now, a couple weeks ago, I played a request for California listener Métis Campboy. The group was out of Washington, D.C. They were called the Marvels, and came out on the local Win, W-I-N-N label, a nice cover of For Sentimental Reasons. But Detroit listener Daryl Letts asked if I could play the flip side before it goes back down in the no humidity basement. So I will oblige. This side features Sam Gilbert on lead, going out to Daryl from September 61. These are the Marvels on Win with their tune called Come Back.
As the time passed slowly by, I saw my love with another guy, and I know that she's gone from my heart. I cried so long, she's gone from my heart. Well, my friends say that I'm to blame, and my heart is so in pain. She's gone. Oh, come back, back to my heart. Oh, my friends say that I'm to blame, and my heart is so in pain. There she goes, baby, across the railroad track, and I know she ain't no coming back. Come back, come back, come back, come back, back to my heart. Well, my friend say that I'm to blame, and my heart is so in pain. There she goes, my baby, across the railroad track, and I know she ain't a coming back. She's gone. Oh, come back, come back. I know you love me, I know you don't care, but I would like to take you, baby, any old well. Come back, come back.
As going out to Darrell Letts, the Marvels, September 1961 on the Win label. Song entitled Come Back, and Sam Gilbert on lead there. Now the group had another release on the Win label, but as the Senators, a great tune I like called Wedding Bells. Yes, Johnny G here. We are spinning 45s out of the year 1961. We head back to Philadelphia for this request for George Tompkins. This is a girl group called the Baby Dolls. They have two releases on Larry Karen's Mask label. This is the B-side of their second release. It features Marion Warren on lead. So going out to George from 1961, the Baby Dolls on Mask. It's called Thanks, Mr. DJ.
He has sent you the information. So thanks, Mr. DJ, for making his dedication. Thanks for the letter over the air. Thinks I'm special. I'm glad he really cares.
Morgan. It was my pleasure.
As by request, whoops, that was my place for George Tompkins there. Those are the Baby Dolls, 1961 on the Mask record label. Thanks, Mr. DJ, Marion Warren. She's on lead now. That male voice you heard at the end of the record was Philadelphia disc jockey Jocko Henderson. Yes, it was. I'm sure he played that 45. Yes, he did. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here. And I got another request for listener Nat Papagallo, probably listening in bed down in Naples, Florida. He's going to have to hear this on the archive. But it's another group from the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area. And the first recorded for the Monument label back in 1958. But they were doing a song. This one they're doing is a song that was first recorded by the Cashmeres on the Laurie label, but I prefer this version by a group called the True Tones. Now features Ronald Henderson on lead. So we're going to send this one out to Nat from June 61, the True Tones on Felsted and their cover of the tune Singing Waters. Bum, 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 bum,
singing waters coming down the mountainside that listen, bringing melodies of love to anyone who cares to listen. Singing waters sang a song of love for me the very day you came my way. That's where I'd like to live with you my whole life long. So our romance can be one beautiful sweet love song. Singing water, tell the babbling brook I want the whole world to know I love her so. That's where I'd like to live with you my whole life long. So our romance can be one beautiful sweet love song. Singing water, tell the babbling brook I want the whole world to know I love her so.
Warren, I agree with you. I like that version. I like that tune also. I had the Cashmeres. I was going to play both of them. I said, let me play one. Let me play one because Nat mentioned both of them, but those are the True Tones from June 1961. It's on the Felsted label. Ronald Henderson, he's on lead. Singing Waters is the name of the tune. As we continue here and we head back out to California, we go to Dick Huggy Boy Hug's Caddy label. Now, this singer previously was a member of a group called the Dots that also recorded on the Caddy label. Now, the Dots, their lead singer, female lead, her name was Jeanette Baker, who would eventually marry this singer. His name is Johnny Flamingo, and here he is doing a cover of a song first done by the Crickets on the MGM label, and this has an uncredited group backing him up on this one. It's none other than Richard Berry and the Pharaohs. They are backing him up on this one. Let's give a listen to Johnny Flamingo, this one from December 61. Johnny Flamingo on Caddy Records with his rendition of the tune You're Mine.
Mine, oh, yeah.
it can't be told why our love was a secret. So secret before. So secret before. Secret before. You're mine. I'll love you forever. Oh, yes, yes, you're mine. For the rest of my day. And you'll always be. You're the only one for me. Something dear to me. I wander around in a day, not knowing just what to do. When all at once the moon came out,
And you came into view.
yes, you're mine.
Oh yeah, you're mine.
Oh, yes, yes, you're mine.
Oh yes, you're mine.
And you'll be in my heart.
Always be in my heart.
Until death do we part. You're mine.
Oh yeah, you're mine.
Oh, yes, yes, you're mine.
For the rest of my day.
And you'll be in my heart.
Always be in my heart.
Until death do we part.
Cover tunes here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. That's Johnny Flamingo. Johnny Flamingo, December 1961 release, featured it on the first label, Caddy Records, Dick Huggy Boy Hug's Caddy label. His rendition of the Crickets tune, You're Mine. Richard Berry and the Pharaohs backing him up on that. That was his fifth release on the Caddy label, believe it or not. And the one you can get, another one you can get, is on the Donna label. Much cheaper, to say the least. Johnny G here. We are in Vinyl Treasure Overtime, 1 minute into overtime. And a couple weeks ago, I played a request for Nat by the Duquesnes, which featured the lead singer Gene Chandler with Festival of Love. Now, the Duquesnes continued to back up Gene, even when his solo records that came out on the VJ label. But let's flip over Festival of Love, because I do like the B-side. This one from November 61, the Duquesnes with Gene Chandler on lead on the Nat label. And this is the all red label. It comes out like with kind of like a two-tone green and yellow. And it comes out two ways. But anyway, these are the Duquesnes with their tune called Night Owl.
10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30, curfew time. Night owl strolling down the street about the break of day. Oh, a night owl, listen, boy, what you think your mama gonna say? Hey, wait till you get in the door. Mama told you once before. Whoa, whoa, night owl. A night owl strolling with his kitten swinging in his hand. Oh, a night owl strutting up the stairs like a natural grown man. Hey, boy, you must be out your mind. Ain't Haven't you heard of curfew time? Whoa, whoa, night owl. Got it to you long ago, not to come in late no more. Running over town just like a clown. But you think that he's a square, and you feel you've been everywhere. Wait till tomorrow you sit down. Oh, night owl, strolling with his dark glasses on his eye. Oh, my night owl, listen, boy, don't you dare tell daddy no lie. Hey, hey, hey. I said you are such a silly jerk, daddy ought to make you work. Whoa, whoa, night owl. Daddy told you long ago not to come in late no more. Running over town just like a clown. But you think that he's a square, and you think you've been everywhere. Wait till tomorrow you sit down. Oh, night out, strolling with his dark glasses on his eye. Oh, a night out, listen, boy, don't you dare tell daddy no lie. Hey, hey, hey. I said, you are such a silly jerk, daddy ought to make you work. Whoa, whoa, night owl.
As Gene Chandler on lead with the Duquesnes, November 1961. That is the B-side to Festival of Love. It's on the Nat record label. And this would be covered in 1962. The Trendells, I think they're from Louisville, Kentucky, came out on the Jam label, also came out on the Capitol label. Johnny G's here in Vinyltreasure Overtime. And here's a double request, this next 45. Two of you requested this in the same week. Evan Blatt and Nat Papagallo requested this song. This group had a monster hit in 1968 on the Gamble label, a record my aunt purchased back in 68. Cowboys to Girls was a big hit for them, but they were singing group harmony back in 1961 as we head back to Philadelphia, PA for the Intruders, and it features Sam Little Sonny Brown on lead. This is going out to Evan and Nat, and it's from December 61, the Intruders on the Gowan label. It's called Come Home Soon.
Each night under this moon, I sit alone, hoping you get home soon. Darling, come home soon. Darling, come home soon. I sit
was by request for Evan Blatt and Nat Papagallo. Very rare do you get two people requesting the same song in the same week, but that's a great tune there. By the Intruders, December 1961 on the Gowan label. Come Home Soon is the name of that one. Featured Sam Little Sonny Brown on lead, and with their second release on the Gowan label, they became the Four Intruders for some reason. Now, unfortunately, the lead singer of that group, Sam Little Sonny Brown, committed suicide April 21st of 1995. He jumped off, I think it's the Strawberry Mansion Bridge. He was only 54 years old, unfortunately, but he committed suicide. But anyway, that's a great tune. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Overtime, going to send this next tune out to Brian in our YouTube chat room, aka Rockin' Chick in our chat room, and I really like this next song. And for years, many thought this group was actually the Five Satins, but they were not. They are our group out of New Haven, Connecticut, and the song was co-written by Fred Paris, who was a member of the Five Satins, but not this group. This group is known as the Cherokees, and the lead singer is Marshall Lassiter. He's on lead. This one charted number 38 on NHC out of New Haven, Connecticut. So we'll send this one out to Brian from October 61. The Cherokees on United Artists. It's called My Heavenly Angel.
Man, bomb. Yeah, bomb, bomb, bomb.
My heavenly angel, my angel, oh darling, I love you so, I want you forever, forever, and never let you go. You made all my come true, and I love you.
Man, bomb. Yeah,
my Cinderella, Cinderella, like out of a storybook. I've searched the whole world over. One kiss is all it took. As the stars that shine in the sky, even as the man in the moon. While sitting in my lonely room, my heavenly angel, my angel, I can't believe that you're mine, but it was here in my heart until the end of time.
Man, bomb. Yeah, bomb, bomb, bomb.
But here you are, dear, in my arms until the end of time.
Man, bomb. Yeah, bomb, bomb, bomb.
That's a great up-tempo tune there. Going out to Brian, the Cherokees. The Cherokees from October 1961 on the United Artists record label, song entitled My Heavenly Angel. Johnny G here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. And on the last 50's show, I played a request for Richard Fox by a group called the Romancers. A Romancers group out of New York on the Palette label. And it was their second of four on the Palette Palette label, a song entitled It Only Happens With You. But let's give a spin to the flip side before I file it back down in the no humidity basement as we go back to March of 61, the Romancers on Palette, or Palette. I don't know how to say it. And the song is called Addio Maria.
Addio Maria, addio Maria,
Addio, Maria, my darling. Goodbye. Addio, Maria, my darling. Don't cry. Oh, we don't know when we'll meet again, but love will find a way. Addio, Maria. I'll be back someday. Addio, Maria. Wherever I go, you'll be there beside me to guide me. I know, oh, you'll always be the one for me. We'll never stay apart. Addio, Maria, and keep me in your heart. Addio, Maria. Addio, Maria.
They're called the Romancers. The Romancers, March 1961. That's the flip side of the second of four on the Palette label, Addio Maria. It's almost time for Johnny G to Addio as we continue here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime. We move into I got actually some requests to play. And we move into 1962 with a request for George Tompkins, Back to Philadelphia, back to Larry Caron's Mask label for a group called the Casinos. This is not an easy 45 to find, believe it or not, but it's a great tune here. I don't know if this was bootlegged or not, but this is the original from 62. We are in 62. The Casinos on Mask. It's called I'm Falling.
I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling. I'm falling. Forever I will love you, darling, and that's a good time. I want you to be mine, all mine. I'm falling for I'm
That's going out to George Tompkins, The Casinos, 1962 sound out of Philadelphia on the Mask label, a song entitled I'm Falling. Let's continue with a few more here. Going to play some requests for you guys. Played a sound of the season a couple weeks ago by the Dynamics, a group out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The song was called Christmas Plea, but let's play the flip side of that 45 before I file it back down in the No Humidity basement. This one from December 62 on Dynamic Records. The group is called the Dynamics, and the song is called Dream Girl.
About my dream girl, can't say I'm not the dream girl. She makes me wanna flip, shooby-doo-wah. Well, she makes my heart strong.
Group out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, December 1962. They're called the Dynamics. The Dynamics on the Dynamic label. A song entitled Dream Girl. And that's the same group. They have an earlier release on the Lavere record label. Johnny G here spinning 1960s, early 60s 45s out of my collection. Now, this next song is a special request for George Tompkins, as George would have never knew about this 45 if it wasn't for his best friend, Sal Mondrone. So, in the memory of Sal Mondrone and to George Tompkins, we're going to send this one out. Both sides of this 45 are excellent in my opinion. And it's this artist's only release. It came out on the Heritage record label, and supposedly the Dream Lovers are backing him up on this one. And we send it out especially to George Tompkins. His name is Sharon Ivy. Sharon Ivy is his name. This one from March 62 on Heritage. It's called I Need You.
I need you, honest I do need your love. All the stars never stop loving you.
By special request for George Tompkins there, in memory of Salmon Drone, March 1962, Sharon Ivy's his name, Heritage Records. I Need You is the name of that one. I think the Dream Lovers are backing him up. The Dream Lovers recorded When We Get Married on this label, the Heritage record label. Let's continue here. Let's stay in Philadelphia with a request for Richard Fox, if he's still around. Richard, if you're still there. And this group is of Latino origin, and it's on the Big L record label. They're called the Cosmos. Don't have much information about this group, but I do like this song. This one from 1962, going out to Richard Fox, the Cosmos on Big L Records. The name of the tune is called I Feel, in parentheses, You're Torturing My Heart.
I feel like crying. I feel like dying. I feel your torture in my heart. I feel your torture in my heart. I carry lonely tears.
As by request for Richard Fox, I like that song there by a group called the Cosmos, 1962. It's on the Big L label. It kind of is a lot of those orange labels to look like Cameo Records, I say. But they're out of Philadelphia, PA, the Cosmos. I Feel You're Torturing My Heart is the name of the tune as we continue here. Got a couple more 45s to go, then Johnny G shutting down here. And we stay in Philadelphia one more time for a request for Evan Blatt. This group formed in Scott High School in Coatesville, Pennsylvania. Now, this 45 initially came out on the Elmar label, but was picked up by ABC Paramount Records. I'm playing the first press on Elmar Records. It's by Little Tommy and the Elgins, and the lead Little Tommy, his name is Thomas Bryant. This one charted number 17 on WAMS in Wilmington, Delaware. So going out to Evan from July 62, Little Tommy and the Elgins on Elmar Records. It's called Never Love Again.
Never love again, never love again. My folks tried to tell me what
wants to give a helping hand, but no one seems to understand the girl that I love deep down inside. I'm sorry, oh so sorry to say we had to part. Oh, my friends try to tell me, try it over again, but they're not the one who have to bear pain. So don't talk about her. I can live without her.
That's Byra. Ooh, scratchy at the end of that 45. Little Tommy and the Elgins going out to Evan Blatt, July 1962. Featured it on the first press, Elmar Records. You know, I also have it on the ABC Paramount record label. Thomas Bryant, he's on lead. He is Little Tommy. 2 more 45s to go before Johnny G signs off here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Played a request a couple weeks ago for Nat Papagallo by a group called the Charades. They're out of, is it Tulare, California? Is that where they're from? And the song was called Please Be My Love Tonight. Came out on Fred Astaire's Ava record label, if I said that right, Dave the Rave. And let's flip it over for another cover tune. This was first recorded, this song, by Emmett Lord on the Liberty label in August of 1962. This one dates December 1963. These are the Charades with their rendition of the tune Turn Him Down.
Down, down, down.
Cover tunes as we close down the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the Charades, December 1962. 63 release, that's the B-side to Please Be My Love Tonight, a big Gus Gossert favorite for sure. Those are the Charades on the Ava record label with their B-side. It's called Turn Him Down. That's going to do it for Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show. I want to thank you for joining Johnny G, spinning original vinyl 45s out of my collection. We do it every Saturday from 10 to midnight. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as we start the new year here, hopefully it'll be a healthy and happy one as we go into 2020. And thanks for sticking around, folks. Those of you that are in the YouTube chat room and the Top Shelf Oldies chat room, thank you so much. But we're going to close the show tonight with a group from Camden, New Jersey. They took their record to Jerry Blavitt to play on his program when he was on WCAM, and Jerry asked them, what is your name? What is the name of your group? And they said, we have no name. Hence, they became the No Names. And this one is written by group member Al Morrison, and the lead singer on this is Douglas Gordon. Douglas Gordon is doing lead on this, and our closer tonight is from July 1964 on the Guidon label. They're called the No Names, and the song is called Love. That's what Johnny G loves to do every Saturday, spin my 45s. That's going to do it, folks, for the Vinyl Treasure Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please tune in tomorrow evening for my buddy Dave the Rave and his Relics and Rarities show. It all starts at 9 p.m., 9 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies. I'll be back next Saturday at 10 p.m., probably more requests. And I'm actually a program note. I'll be filling in for Ramtown Mike on January 22nd, I think it's a Wednesday night. I think I'm going to do a countdown of an R&B station. I'm looking at some of the, like WJMO, I think out of St. Louis. Got some cool records in the early 1960s, so I might do that countdown. There's about 40 records on there, or a little bit more. I'm just checking to make sure I have every one, because some are single artists, but it should be a lot of fun, and I could easily find these records. That's going to help my assistant, Charlene, helping me with the show. Thank you so much, Charlene, for all your help again. Ashley, for all you did for 2019 and the years prior and going into this year. I couldn't do the show without you, so thank you so much for that. And again, folks, I will be back next Saturday at 10 p.m. Everybody have a safe and happy week. I'll see you next Saturday right here on Top Shelf Oldies. Just want to say, everybody, so long.
God put woman on earth, a man to love, to cherish, to hold forevermore. A blind man without its key. I am like a violin with one string. I am like the rainbow minus its colors. Yes, my darling, I am like the sky without a star. That's how lonely, that's how much I love you.
Okay, folks, that's going to do it. Thanks all for sticking around. Oh, I didn't show you the two records. This is the, Brian, this is the first press of this. I forget what it was. And it's Ava. What did Dave the Rave say? I said it wrong. Ava Records. What did I say? Ava. Oh, wait, because it's got the two little... Well, what do the two little dots on the top there mean? Does that mean I got to check that out. Anyway, and this record is from 1964 out of Philadelphia. It's called The No Names, which is a pretty cool record. The No Names that's the name of that. All right, folks, thank you so much for sticking around. I can't believe the Patriots lost. I'm so used to them winning, but that's going to do it, folks. I'll be back next Saturday. Again, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. You can go to the archive, my vinyltreasures.net. I forgot to mention that, or you're, of course, on YouTube. You can go back. Hopefully, they won't give me any copyright infringements. But that's going to do it, folks. Have a good night. Ed, I was teasing you with the 78s. I was teasing you with the 78s. But anyway, that's going to do it. I'll see you next week. Take care, bye. Take care, everyone. Good night. Good night, all. Good night.